everyone, and welcome to episode 72 of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And I cannot wait for you to hear this week's guest, our hockey player, or he's now a former hockey player, which we talk about on the interview, Nate Monticelli. But before we get there, let's thank our show sponsors and run through this week's Sooner headlines of the week. So, first off, thanks to Marvin's Place, a fine art gallery and listening room located in the Depot District in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Come experience amazing artwork. And on Friday nights, visit the Listening Room, an intimate and unplugged venue. We host singer and songwriters on Friday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Relax with a glass of wine or craft beer and enjoy some wonderful music. You can find out more, including links to all of their social media, their music calendar, all of the artwork, and jewelry at marvinsplace.gallery. Also, thank you to Therapy to Go in Ardmore, the funnest place in town to drive through for a drink, and you don't even have to get out of your car. They have a large variety of spirits as well as fountain drinks and snacks, and you can find them on both Facebook and Instagram at Therapy to Go Ardmore. And be sure and stop by and tell them that I sent you for a free gift. Okay, on to our injury report for the week. If you missed it on Sunday afternoon in Game 3 of our Super Regional for softball, Kendall Wells was hit in the helmet with a wild pitch, and it looks like it possibly hit her jaw. She was seen later over in the dugout with some ice on it. She did come back out and behind the dish on the next half of the inning, so that was a good sign. She did seem a little shaken up, but nothing too serious, thank goodness. But in the postgame, Coach Gasso did give an update and said that it was really hard because it looked like it busted her helmet, but she's a tough young lady. So I think at the end of the game, she started to feel pretty woozy, and she's definitely going to get it checked out on Monday, which is today as I'm recording. Unfortunately, I have not heard any update on that, but I will be sure and share that on social media as soon as I do, and we'll update you on next week's show. After that did happen, there obviously was a pause in the game for a good period of time, and she was visibly shaken up and woozy, but she did get a pinch runner to come in for her at the time, and then, like I said, she did come back behind the dish in the next half of the inning. So it wasn't anything too serious, it doesn't look like, but definitely want to follow up on that. Also, on to this week's Sooner headlines of the week. For men's basketball, shout out to former Sooner Jeremiah Fears, who plays for the New Orleans Pelicans. In the NBA, he was named to the all-rookie second team, so shout out to Jeremiah. On to our women's basketball team. The University of Oklahoma is proud to honor Sherry Cole, our former coach, mentor, author, and Oklahoma legend, with a Doctor of Humane Letters. For 25 unforgettable seasons, Coach Cole built women's basketball into a national powerhouse while inspiring generations of student athletes with her passion and relentless belief in what was possible. From Final Four runs and championship banners to life lessons that shaped leaders across Oklahoma and beyond, her legacy is woven into the fabric of our university. An Oklahoman through and through, Coach Cole represents the very best of our state. Courage, heart, excellence, and a commitment to lifting others higher. Her influence can still be felt in packed arenas, in classrooms, communities, and the countless lives she changed along the way. So join us in celebrating a true Sooner icon, Coach Sherry Cole. And that was taken from the OU Instagram account after they did honor her with that honorary doctorate at commencement last weekend. Moving on to baseball, shout out to Jason Walk for being named to the SEC All-Defensive Team. And now let's rewind to the SEC tournament last weekend where our guys faced LSU in round one. Last Tuesday evening, unfortunately, we did suffer a loss 6-2 to LSU that night. We were knocked out of the SEC tournament in round one. Gavin Jones pitched 2 innings, no hits, no earned runs, and had 2 Ks. Johnson was 1 for 3 with an RBI. But we into the NCAA tournament sitting just 4-9 in our last 13 games, which is not ideal. They did have the selection show today as I'm recording this on Memorial Day. This morning, we were selected to attend the Atlanta Regional on May 29th through 31st as a number 2 seed, which features Georgia Tech, the Citadel, and UIC, and we will face the Citadel in that opening round on Friday the 29th at 4 p.m. Central. So be sure and tune in for that. Again, I will have all the updates on social media and we'll update you guys next week on the show. But give me a follow at Sooner Girl Pod. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook stories are where you will get that up to the minute information on these games. Moving on to softball, shout out to our top 3 freshmen of the Year finalists. We had 2 of those 3 with Kai Miner and Kendall Wells. Shout out to them for making that final 3 cut. And that winner will be announced in the next couple of weeks. Quick recap of Super Regionals this past weekend in Norman as we hosted Mississippi State Bulldogs and former Sooner Samantha Ricketts to Norman. And what an interesting weekend it was. Definitely did not end as we all had planned, but let's break it down. Game 1 on Friday, we had 3 pitchers come into the game. Miley, Audrey, and Sid all came in to pitch. Kendall Wells did hit 2 home runs to end her season, unfortunately, with a number 39 tally on her total of home runs. Since the year 2000, Oklahoma softball was 77-0 when leading by more than 4 runs in a regional or super regional, but unfortunately that streak was snapped on Friday. Now a 77-1 record after Mississippi State rallied in Norman to end our 18-game win streak in the Supers. Completely unreal. Samantha Ricketts becomes the first former player or coach to beat Coach Gasso. OU led 5-1. We then led 6-2 and 9-6, and we have to play for our season as the weekend progressed. Game 2 on Saturday, things started out super weird for the Sooners as Kai Miner grounded out on a check swing. Ella Parker drew a walk. Kendall Wells struck out after being up on a 3-0 count, and Parker gets called out, stealing second because Wells blocked the catcher's throwing lane from the plate. So just not a good start for us on Saturday, but it did end better than Friday. Lexi McDaniel, a 3-run home run to make it a 7-run third inning for the Sooners as we pulled out that win 7-1 final score. Again, that 7-run third inning is really what sealed the deal for us. Lexi McDaniel pinch hit and that 3-run home run. Audrey Lowry had a complete game, 5 hits, 2 Ks. She ends the season with the 23-4 record. Audrey Lowry threw 47 pitches in her disastrous relief appearance on Friday, and on Saturday, she threw 47 pitches in the first 5 innings. So what a difference the 24 hours made for her. That progresses us on to the winner-take-all Game 3 on Sunday of Super Regionals. And a big stat for OU softball, we drew 12 walks at the plate against Mississippi State in 2 games. No pitching staff issued less walks in SEC play than Mississippi State. So the fact that OU was able to work the counts as they did was definitely key in that victory on Saturday. On to Game 3 on Sunday. Kendall Wells again gets hit on that front flap of her helmet. Looks like she's going to be okay, but again, she is supposed to be getting that checked out. As I'm recording this, I have not heard an update. I'm actually recording this pretty late on Monday evening. Still haven't seen anything. Again, she never went to the locker room or anything, just to the dugout, so that was a good sign. But the Sooners, unfortunately, in that game, shut out at home for the first time since an 8-0 run rule loss to Baylor in 2015. Our last run rule was from Bama in the Women's College World Series in 2019. That's 399 games of scoring at least 1 run. Snaps the longest streak of 9 years in the Women's College World Series. Coach Gasso's face, you could tell at some point she was just like, I don't know what else to do. In case you missed it in the post game, either Friday or Saturday, she told the girls, hey, you have the choice to make the decision what happens with your season. You're either going to start your summer early or we're going to get through this. So she told the players to make their choice, and they did just that. And I think she was shocked by their response on Sunday especially, but she has built a program that has become the standard by which every other program is measured. Coach Ricketts said in the postgame after beating us in Supers and said just that. As all of softball world knows this, 8 national titles since 2000, 6 of those in the last 8 years, the only 4-peat ever in softball history. Just another reminder how special that 4-peat class really was. 9 straight Women's College World Series appearances. And look at that trophy, Clay. It's just another reminder of how good, again, this program is. Again, just setting that standard. And it is disappointing. It's okay to be disappointed. It is. But I talked about this a lot on Twitter/X on Sunday, and a lot of people were definitely in agreement with me. Others were not quite understanding what I was saying when I said I was disappointed. I'm not disappointed in the program. I'm not disappointed in the girls or anything. I am disappointed in how they responded. I'm just disappointed in how the game turned out. But us Sooner fans have lofty expectations, and when a team is expected over and over to make the postseason, to make it to the Women's College World Series year after year, perfection does not define a dynasty. And I think that's just a good reminder, especially with how this Game 3 went. Again, 6-0 final score. Their pitcher, Delaney Everett, had a complete game. That was her first time to start all season. I believe they said she pitched somewhere around maybe 12 innings total all season long. So for her to come out in that environment with all of that on the line and do what she did, shout out to Delaney Everett for that. Again, just missing the Women's College World Series for the first time since 2015. And Mississippi State is going to the Women's College World Series for the first time ever in program history. OU finishes the season 52-10. But again, just what we did for so long cannot be ignored. 2015 to 2025, we make the Women's College World Series, 8 national titles. Again, the only 4P, and just what a run that was. On to the transfer portal. I am just going to go ahead and get this out there. The portal is coming, and I do have one to talk about here in a moment. It's going to give, it's going to take. So we better get ready. I'm afraid that we always end up having some shocking entries into the portal. And it's hard to sit here and think about all of these girls and the expectations that are on them. And I believe that they had an excellent season. I know it ended short of where we think that it should be, technically where they should have ended, but unfortunately, that's just how it goes sometimes. But each one of these girls will always have a special place in Sooner history. But if they see a better opportunity, whatever that may be, somewhere else, then we have to wish them well, send them on down their way, and just realize that, hey, we're Sooner fans. We are softball fans, but we are Sooner fans first, and we will root for whoever is wearing our jersey at that time. And those that leave, we wish them well. And if we play them, face them on down the road, we will obviously hope to beat them, but wish them well other than that. But I'm not really worried about who we lose or anything like that, because we have a great freshman class coming in. And I know we'll lose some to the portal. I think some of them won't be shocking. Others, obviously, like I said, see coming. Others will be shocking. But no one can win it all every year. And it's just a reminder, again, of how great these players are that we have seen in the past that have left this legacy. And these girls strive to live up to it year after year. And I know I trust Patty to reload that roster with the talent and put the people out there who can get the job done. So again, if they're wearing an OU jersey, we're going to root for them. If they see an opportunity to go somewhere else, then wish them well and move on. Someone else will fill that spot. And it just doesn't faze me in the least bit. I know it sucks. I hate to see some go, obviously, but just know that Patty's always going to reload, always going to rebuild between the portal, the freshman class coming in, all of those will have returning. And I have no doubt that next season will be another stellar season for OU softball. So just an update in case you are wondering, the 8 teams that did advance to the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City that starts on Thursday of this week, there were several host teams that got beat out. Florida got beat. Of course, we did as well. And there were also several supers that went to that game 3, if necessary, game on Sunday. Texas was pushed up against the wall, as well as Texas Tech was pushed against the wall. Of course, Mississippi State. But those 8 teams headed to the Women's College World Series are Nebraska, Texas Tech, UCLA, Tennessee, Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Bama. So Sooners, who are we rooting for? It's really hard to pick from that list who I'm going to root for, but I have to say, obviously, I wish Coach Ricketts and Mississippi State well on their first trip to Oklahoma City. But watching Jordy and Hannah Core, both former Sooners, do what they did on the field for Nebraska this past weekend, I'm going to have to say that I'm rooting for Nebraska. I think they have a decent chance to win it, and so I am rooting for them. Also, a quick update on portal entries. We had our first softball player announce her intention to enter the portal. Now, the portal is not open yet. I believe it doesn't open until June 1st. But you can go ahead and announce your intent to enter that portal from here on out once your season is over. And so our first portal entry for OU softball, as of the time that I'm recording this on Memorial Day at 6:30 p.m., is Tia Malloy. Now, that one is not necessarily a shock. Obviously, sad to see her go. She has done all she was asked to do for OU softball, and I wish her the best. She comes obviously from a long line of softball genes, a lot of talent in that family. So I hope that she will find a great place to go and flourish for her final 2 years of eligibility. Now, I'm sure that we will have others who enter the portal as well, especially in these coming days. I will update that list on next week's show, and I'll be posting it on my social media in the meantime. So again, Twitter/X Facebook, Instagram stories are the best way to get that up to the minute information, and you can go follow me there at Sooner Girl Pod. Okay, another exciting announcement from our soccer program. OU soccer head coach Matt Mott announced the hiring of Madison Pizzino as an assistant coach last week. Pizzino was most recently served as an assistant coach with the Ole Miss program and played over 2,000 minutes under Coach Mott as a player for the Rebels during his time at Ole Miss before he came to Norman. So, Madison, welcome to Norman, and we are glad to have you as a Sooner. Quick shout out to our former volleyball player, Imani Bush, who plays professionally now with the Indy Ignite. She was named to the Canadian women's national team. So, best of luck to you, Imani, with that this summer. Final rankings for our tennis programs were released. Our women's final team ranking is a number 6, and we had several singles ranked as well with Evelina Lasovic, Eddie Momendova, and Julia Garcia Ruiz. Also, our doubles, we had Roseanne Gilhaney, Gloriana Nahum, and Evelina Nasovic and Eda Momendova as well. Also, Eviana Lasovic was named to the ITA Singles All-American team, so shout out to her for that. Also, Tennis Portal is very active as well. I know we did have one female who entered the portal with Roseanne Gilhaney, and we also had a male enter with Kimhee. So thanks to those players for what they contributed to our tennis program, and we wish them the best as they move to their next chapter. Onto our men's tennis, their final team ranking, a top 10 finish for our Sooners to come in at number 9 in those final rankings. And the guys close out the season with 10 wins of their last 12 matches. Pretty incredible. Bruno and Luis were final rankings number 4 in their doubles. I will miss those guys so much. Wish them all the best on their next chapter as they graduated. My guy Bruno and Luis. So thank you again. I'm just so proud of them and all that they accomplished this season. And had Bruno on my show last summer. I just love watching them. And so proud of our tennis programs for making it as far as they did into the postseason, and cannot wait to watch them again next season. Another accolade for my guy, Ralford Mullings, as he was named the Outdoor Track and Field Scholar Athlete of the Year. So shout out to him for that. We also had an all SEC team for the outdoor season. Several Sooners on that list. We had Jacelyn Neighbors with pole vault, Angel Richmore heptathlon, Ralford Mullings discus, BJ Green in the triple jump, Riley Ammenhauser with the triple jump, and Domtillo Cheruto in the 10,000 meter. We also had several qualifiers who are punching their tickets to the national championship, one of those being Angel Richmore, as she auto-qualified for her 3rd consecutive NCAA Outdoor Champions. The rest of the Sooners that qualify are heading to the NCAA West Regional, hosted by Arkansas on May 27th through the 30th in Fayetteville, Arkansas, for a chance to advance to the Outdoor Championships in Eugene, Oregon on June 10th through 13th. So again, be sure and check social media for all of those updates this week while that is going on, and I will update next week on the show. Also, a recap on our rowing team ending the season with a number 24 ranking. And again, just a reminder, they will not be advancing the postseason, and so their season is done. But shout out to the all SEC rowing team, Leah Brandon Reeves. Her episode of the podcast is coming up next week on June the 3rd. Also, Elena Ronhing and Brooklyn Holland named to the all SEC rowing team as well. So congratulations to them. Moving on to our men's golf team, as they are still alive in postseason play for this season. Want to give props to Eddie Radosevich for this on Twitter. He tweets this out last week, talking about how the Sooners are on the precipice of a runway victory, which we did win at the Corvallis Regional. What Ryan Hibble, head coach, had built does not get talked about enough. That will be OU's 6th regional title under Hibble, 2016, 2018, 2022, 24, 25, and now 26. That's again 15 consecutive seasons that OU will advance to the national championship, 2nd longest active streak in the nation. Again, men's round 2 of regional had a historic day at Tri-Sting Tree, lowest regional round in OU history. Best 36-hole regional score in program history, 4 Sooners with rounds in the 60s and in the top 10. And Oklahoma led by 8 shots and set 22 strokes clear of the cut after that day 2. Jace Summy officially tied Drew Goodman's school record with his 96th career par or better round. And we won our 3rd consecutive regional title on that 3rd day and punched our ticket again to the 15th straight NCAA championship. We were one of 5 teams to advance from the Corvallis Regional to the championships, which are set for May 29th through the June 3rd at the Omni La Costa Resort and Spa in Carlsbad, California. Unfortunately, do have some bad news to share on the golf front as we have lost our men's head coach Ryan Hybl to Georgia Tech after OU being willing to pay whatever it takes to keep him. He has decided to return back to his home state of Georgia after a highly productive 17-year stretch as Oklahoma men's golf coach, which included a team national title in 2017. He announced on Sunday that he will resign at the end of the season. So he is finishing out the national championship run with the guys this season. But he has accepted the coaching position for head coach at Georgia State in his home state. OU Vice President and Director of Athletics Roger Denny also announced that Jonathan Moore, who is the program's Associate Head Coach and Director of Performance for the last 3 years, and he is an OSU alumni, he will succeed Hybl as the head coach. This is a quote from Ryan. He said, "Simply put, my wife and I, who are both from Georgia, have missed out on a lot of time with loved ones back home over the last 17 years, and we have a chance to return and be a part of their lives as everyone continues to get older." So best of luck to Coach Ryan as he starts his new chapter in Georgia after the end of the postseason. And good luck to Jonathan Moore as he takes over at the helm to continue our legacy of men's golf at Oklahoma. Okay, on to my Sooner MVPs of the week. Again, another shout out to my outdoor track and field scholar athlete of the year, Ralford Mullings, who I did have on the show just a couple of months ago. And again, to our all SEC outdoor season team members, Jacelyn Neighbors, Angel Richmore, Ralford Mullings, BJ Green, Riley Emmenhauser, Domtillo Cheruto, and all of the track and field NCAA qualifiers as they compete this week. And again, shout out to our men's golf for their historic win at Corvallis, and as we won that regional title and are heading to the 15th straight NCAA championship later this week. Okay, to end this segment with a Sooner fun fact of the week. OU hockey is a club sport that is not funded by the university. Founded in 2003, the team competed at the ACHA Division II level during its inaugural season before moving to D1 the following year. Today, the Sooners are a perennial top 15 team and compete in the WCHL, which is one of the ACHA's toughest conferences. Starting in the 21-22 season, OU competed in the newly established WCHL East Division with Colorado, Colorado State, Missouri State, and our in-state rival UCO. So for those of you who are not aware, we do have that club hockey team, and we will hear more about that from today's guest in Nate Monticelli. So I want to thank you all again so much for your overwhelming support. Make sure you're following me again on all social media platforms. I'm at Sooner Girl Pod. Go check out my link in bio. It's my link tree. You can find everything linked there to find out all about the show. You can get merch, soonergirl.bigcartel.com. You can sign up for my newsletter, The Playbook, which comes out at the end of every month and will be coming out here at the end of this coming week. Also, ladies, you can find out more information about our Lock Her Room for our girls. We have a group chat, a monthly online huddle. You get a merch discount. I do giveaways, all kinds of fun stuff. You don't want to miss out on that. Also, make sure that you are downloaded and subscribed on all of your podcast apps, and be sure and share it with a friend. If you are interested in advertising or sponsoring the show, you can shoot me an email at soonergirlsportspod@gmail.com. or you can message me on any social media. Again, go check out my link tree. It's my link in bio on all platforms to get all of this information and more. And I also just want to give a quick shout out to all of the great people that I have met out and about this past year at sporting events, football games, softball games, basketball games, you name it. I've met so many great people and connected with you outside of the podcast, and I love that so much. I cannot thank you enough for all of the amazing feedback that I've gotten. I've had so many people say that they like to hear me because I cover all sports. I don't just talk about women. I don't just talk about the main sports. I cover everybody, and I truly do love doing that and getting to know these kids, connecting with them, hearing their stories. And that is one reason why I loved doing this interview with Nate Monticelli of our hockey team, to bring awareness to this club sport and help them get support. So again, make sure you're following me on social media. I try to share about all of these kids and more as much as I can to help them get support. And this summer, I also have some guests coming up from our women's wrestling team, our flag football team, and lacrosse. Those are all club sports, but you will be able to learn more about those this summer and learn how you can support all student athletes at the university. Okay, before I do my intro for Nate Monticelli, I do want to mention that this episode with Nate was recorded before the OU LSU softball series, and his sister Paytn is referenced in our conversation. And some of you may recognize the name Paytn Monticelli. She was one of our pitchers for the previous 2 seasons, part of our national championship team. Paytn did a lot for our softball team, and she just completed her season with LSU and has now graduated. So we do reference that here in the podcast. Also, again, Nate talks about why he personally chose to step away from the team and why it was personal reasons and all of those things that he's learned from being an athlete his whole life. He just had such a good attitude that has taught him so much about hard work and his outlook on life. And it was truly a hard decision for him to walk away from that. But we do talk about that in the episode as well. So you will enjoy hearing that. So without further ado, former hockey player and sophomore studying business finance and seeking a real estate certification. And he's also on the pre-law track. Nate Monticelli was born in Vancouver, Washington, but he was raised in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. He played competitive hockey for the majority of his life, as well as a ton of other sports. He has, again, his sister Paytn, who won a national championship with OU softball in 2024 and just completed her career playing with the LSU Tigers. I did connect with Nate from his mother. I actually had reached out to her last summer to try to connect with Paytn once she came back from playing in Great Britain over the summer. And then, as we all know, she entered the portal upon her return back to the States. And well, here we are. But I am so glad that I got to connect with this sweet family. They truly are some of the nicest people that you will ever meet. I loved getting to know Nate, getting to watch him play. I attended several home games this season, as well as I was out in Phoenix for an NFL game when they were playing at ASU. So I got to go and watch them then. But I cannot wait for you guys to hear more from Nate about how he ended up in Norman, how he became an OU fan, and just all the things that entailed that. He also talks about his favorite Sooner memories and all of the lessons he has learned from sports over the years. So I cannot wait for you to hear from Nate Monticelli, and you can find him on Instagram at Nate Monticelli, which I'll be tagging him and all the things on social media this week. And you can find this information in the show notes as well. So enjoy the interview with this week's guest, Nate Monticelli, and I will see you next week when we have rower Leah Brandon Reeves on the show. Can't wait for you to hear that one. So I will see you next Wednesday where we talk sports. Well, okay, before I get into talking about you, I have to mention your sister. I don't want to make it all about her because I am talking to you. But so OU softball goes to LSU this weekend.
Yes.
So, are your parents going?
They are, yeah. They'll be there.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm really excited to see how that goes. Of course, I never met your sister. I never got to talk to her. I intended to when she returned from Europe last summer, and then she left us.
Yeah, she had a lot going on.
She certainly did, but I love her. I wish her the best, and I've been following her at LSU, and I know she's been doing pretty well, so I'm sure she'll be anxious to see her former team this weekend.
Yes, absolutely. She is super excited just to see all of them, see Miss Patty Gasso.
For sure, yes.
And the whole coaching staff. I know she has a couple former teammates that are, I think, in a GA position there as well.
Yes,
We'll have a lot of people,
awesome.
Which is great.
That's good. And I know that everybody will be glad to see her as well. I know we've seen a few former Sooners that have transferred to other programs come back to Norman to play, and they always get a warm welcome.
Think about that today, how cool it would be if my parents came down to Love's for a weekend and LSU.
Oh, yes.
Here, but
man, I hate that. We're all not going to get to experience that, but it's okay. Okay, well, let's talk about you. And I know you said you grew up playing hockey, so just tell me a little bit about that and how you got started and your love for it and how that grew.
Yeah, so hockey in the Midwest isn't really like the main sport. So I grew up playing football, baseball. Those are like my 2 main sports. And my dad grew up playing hockey his entire life. So he's the one that got me introduced to it. But my mom didn't want him to just throw me into it right away. Like, she wanted me to explore my options and
of course,
out all these different sports and everything. So I started when I was around 10 years old, which for hockey is really late, like extremely late. My dad started skating when he was around 2 years old. He grew up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and had played his entire life. And then everyone that I had grown up with started skating before they even learned how to walk.
Right. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, I started pretty late, but I fell in love with it immediately. It was one of those sports where you're just moving constantly, and you
Mhm.
could probably tell already I'm a kid that just cannot sit still.
Yeah.
I'm always swiveling in my chair, kicking my feet under the desk, all that stuff. So it helped me get my jitters out, and it's like I just fell in love with it immediately.
I
Just
love
being
it.
up and down the ice all the time, working hard, sweating bullets. That's how
Yes.
I've been my entire life. So
Well, it's definitely a very fast paced game, and I'm fairly new to the hockey world. I've been to a couple games over the years. The Dallas Stars and the Oklahoma City used to have a team called the Blazers, and so I had gone to a couple of those games over the years, but it was never anything that really like clicked with me. But
yeah,
I've since learned, obviously, if OU is playing it, I'm a fan. And so last season, like almost 2 years ago, um, we went to our first OU hockey meet, and I was like, this is so much fun. And I truly do wish I lived closer because
yeah,
you guys play in Edmond. And
I
so
know.
that's just another 30 minutes further for me because I live south of Norman, which is not convenient. I
Tell you, it's not convenient for the team either.
No, it's not. I can't imagine that it would be because it's not close at all. So that's very frustrating, I'm sure. And I remember talking to your mom when we had gone to the Bedlam game back in September, I believe it was, and she was like, "Are you going to be able to make it to any other games?" And I was like, "Well, I'm going to try, but that since I live south, it's that much further for me. So unfortunately, it makes it a little more complicated." And I really truly do wish I could come to more games, but I did watch you guys on YouTube quite a bit. But all that to say, hockey is fun.
It
And
is.
I
It is.
don't know that I feel like if I have a person to watch or my team to watch, that obviously helped engage me because I'm still learning about the game itself. But
Absolutely.
I tell everybody, please go watch, go give it a try. And it's much better in person than it is on YouTube or TV. But
Absolutely.
it's a fun game. So I can see
It is.
how if you're playing it for sure, because it's so fast paced, you're just on the go all the time.
I totally get it too from a viewer's perspective. We grew up watching hockey in my house, as
Uh-huh.
you can probably assume.
Mm-hmm.
My whole family would be sitting on the couch, and my mom would just be looking at the TV saying, I don't even know where the puck is. So
Yes.
you're
Yes.
right about coming to games in person and being able to see the real pace of the game and actually being able to follow the play
Yes.
is definitely something that all hockey enjoyers need to.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree. Well, and when we ended up in Arizona, which I know you mentioned that's where we met,
Yeah, that was
it was
crazy.
it was the craziest thing. So we landed. We were out there for the Cardinals game, and I had put you guys' schedule in my calendar, but I didn't pay any attention to the away games because I was like,
Yeah,
well, what are the chances of that? And
right.
then I just happened to see on Instagram that you guys were in town, and I told my husband, I'm like, we gotta go. This is
Yeah,
so crazy.
it was a very,
We
very pleasant surprise. My mom spoke
Yes.
very highly of you and said,
Oh, well, thank you. I just love her. I've never met her in person. Her and your dad sat next to Kelly Bright. She's a former softball player at OU. And Kelly has since moved to New York. But she told me Lauren is the nicest. Like, you will love her. And Paytn, like, they're so sweet. They're such a great
yeah,
family. And so when I started talking with your mom, I messaged her and said, you're not going to believe this, but we're in Arizona. And so it was just the coolest thing to go. And she was so excited that we were going to be able to go. And
that's
we went
awesome.
that Thursday night and we had so much fun. We came back the next night and it was truly a blast. And then I was glad to meet you.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and you met my aunt and uncle as well when you were in Arizona.
Yes, I did. Yes, your mom told me they were going to be there. And I was like, okay, trying to figure out who they might be. And then when I saw them hanging around, I just went up to them and started talking to
Right,
them. They definitely probably thought I was crazy, but it was process of elimination. I was like, it
right,
has to be this.
right. It's nice when we do these little travels, like all these little
Yeah.
trips, because you get to see all these different families, and then you get to meet parents of players who are,
Yes.
I'd say 60% of my team is originally from Dallas, maybe even more than
Oh,
that.
wow.
So
Okay.
a lot of them drive up for our home games, but when we go to
Hmm.
these other states and these other locations,
Yeah.
that's when we get to meet like the other side of the
That's
OU
so
hockey
cool.
family. So it's really nice being able to see everyone.
That is so cool. I do recall meeting a family of a player that was from Colorado, and I don't remember the name. But anyway, they were super friendly. They recognized us on the second night from being there the first time, so we kind of got to talking, and everybody was so kind, and it was just a lot of fun. So
Yeah, we have a nice group, great group
I
of
love
guys,
it.
great group of families, just really nice community. So
That's awesome.
that's good.
Well, I know you mentioned how you kind of accidentally ended up at OU, and I think that's a funny story. So I want you to tell that and tell a little bit about how you ended up at Patty Gasso's house and how it all kind of went down. I'll let you tell that in your own words.
Yeah. So basically, I had no intention of ending up here. I know it sounds
Right.
weird. Like
Uh-huh.
I'm such a huge believer that like everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
So I ended up coming down here for Payton's official visit her sophomore
Mm-hmm.
year after
Mm-hmm.
her first year at Wisconsin. It was my first time down here.
Yeah.
And like for a college, personally, I wanted to be somewhere that felt like a college town. And that was like
Yes.
your stereotypical like, open campus, not a huge like rural city around, just a lot of good culture and
Mm-hmm.
like red brick buildings and stuff like that.
Yes.
Just that original architecture.
Yeah,
So
love it.
right like right when I got into Norman, I was just mind blown because I had
Mm-hmm.
at that point gone on a bunch of college tours either.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like this campus is absolutely beautiful, and I was fortunate
Yes.
enough to come down when the weather was nice as well.
Good.
A big plus. So yeah, I mean, instantly I fell in love with the campus. It was fantastic. The weather was beautiful. The football stadium is in the heart of the campus. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything was super close, walking distance. Didn't have to worry about busing or any like
Yes.
transportation issues or anything like that. So immediately I was like, wow, I could really see myself here. And
Mm-hmm.
then when my family went to go meet the Gassos and do lunch and
Mm-hmm.
tour the facilities and do all that stuff with them, Coach Gasso was there with her whole family. So we got to
Uh-huh.
meet her entire family.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole visit for me, and especially for Peyton, I know she loved, and my parents for that matter,
Mm-hmm.
loved how personal it felt. Because we were
Yes.
like, we had our entire family. She brought her entire family.
Uh-huh.
We were just connecting throughout the day. We went to, I think it's, what's it called? It's called, I think it's, is it Heyday? That like activity
Oh
center? Like,
yes, heyday. Uh-huh. Yes.
yes, we went there and we went bowling with her entire family and then my entire family. And then I can't remember if it was that night or a night or two after, but we went to Benvenuti's as well. We
Oh
went in
yes.
that
Yes.
back nice private room, and I don't know if you know me or my family, but we are all suckers for Italian food, so that was
I love
the
it.
green light for us. And then I started talking to Patty a little bit, or
Mm-hmm.
Miss Castro, excuse me, about like her relationship with the hockey coach because she knew I was a hockey player and all that stuff. I think Peyton and
Yeah.
something, and she just randomly out of the blue offered was like, "Do you want his phone number? Like, do you want to get in contact with him?" And I was like, "Yeah, like
Yeah.
awesome." And she had her own hockey jersey and everything too. I'm pretty sure the whole team went.
Oh, I love it.
I think the year prior to me getting there, so they were kind of involved with the program, and
Okay.
Toby Keith was very involved as well.
Yes.
So there was that little connection there as well. And then I ended up meeting the head coach for OU hockey, Pete
Mm-hmm.
Arvanitis, at Charleston's for
Oh,
lunch. It
nice. Yeah.
was just my parents and I. Great guy. Loved what he stood for. Huge on hard work, which is like coming from a military family is basically all I grew up on.
For sure.
Humility, responsibility, respect, hard work, all that good stuff. I could probably go on forever. But great guy. Offered to me. I think he just asked like next time you're down here, come skate with the team, like meet the guys, do all
Cool.
this stuff,
Yeah.
which is great. And we were back and forth down here pretty frequently for Peyton.
Mm-hmm.
I think like softball had a couple events, like team events for new recruits and stuff like that we were coming down for. So I ended up skating with the team 2 or 3 times before I even came here, which was
Oh,
nice.
nice.
So
Yeah.
I got to meet a ton of the guys. And then, I mean, like, that's really it. Like, the second I
Yeah.
came down here and I met everyone, I just immediately knew that this is where I wanted to be. And it's
That's so
honestly
cool.
been like one of the best decisions I've ever made.
That's so cool. I love that. I hear some version of that from just about everyone I talk to about them coming to campus and falling in love with not just the campus itself, but the coaches and the
Yeah.
people and their teammates and all of that. And that really means a lot to somebody like me, like a OU alumni, a fan, to know that we have such good people representing our our not just our athletics but our school. I just think it's so cool that I hear that across the board from literally everyone I talk to. So that really says a lot, and that's super cool. And of course, Coach Gasso is highly respected
Right.
across the world, basically. But just how cool that she not only cared about Paytn, but cared about trying to get you connected as well, and interested in what you were doing. So that's really cool.
She's definitely more than just a coach. So I will give her
Yes.
props for that. She's just all around a fantastic person.
I love that. I love to hear that. I
Right.
love to hear that. Okay, so you had a lot of fun memories to share from your time playing hockey at OU, and you talked about scoring in Bedlam at the end of your freshman year, things like that. So just talk a little bit about some of your favorite memories and what they mean to you, and just things that stick out to you from your time playing with the team.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start from the beginning. Right when I got there for training camp and all that good stuff, everyone was so welcoming, like immediately, which is great. Like the team culture was fantastic. All the older guys were super supportive of all the new recruits,
That's
which
good.
was great, and which is like something that made me feel so much more comfortable as
For
someone
sure.
new, especially because I moved across the country. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have friends or know anyone from Wisconsin coming to OU. That played a huge part for me. And then I guess like just being around all those guys helped me outside of hockey as well. So like in school, and I'm part of a fraternity as well. So just like having that guidance from all those older guys who are also a
Yes.
part of these other organizations that associated myself with
Hmm.
was such a huge step for me in the right direction, and just kind of getting my college career started,
For sure.
because my parents did all they could from Wisconsin, but
Yeah.
having my sister here as well. But
Oh,
she
for
was
sure.
so consumed with softball and school and like
Yes.
journalism and all that stuff. So I was pretty much on my own, which I love. Like I
Right.
honestly love being independent. Yeah, it was just fantastic. Like everything kind of fell into line once I got down here. And then in terms of hockey, like being a newer kid who was, I guess I don't want to say trying to fit in, because
Uh-huh.
I feel like I'm a very good communicator. Like I can
Yes.
make friends and make conversation pretty easy. But just having that support system, and then like the road trips and encouragement on the ice during practices and games and all that stuff from like the older guys especially,
Hmm.
was like it's one thing that has really resided with me so far, like especially in my hockey career, because
Yeah.
back at home in high school, in the private school I was in, it wasn't really like the team culture was, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like, it was just kind of off.
Right.
So it was kind of a new experience for me coming here. And just like, I know I mentioned it a bit earlier, like the sense of community and
Yes.
belonging and all the support I had around me was such a great feeling,
I love that. I
which is
love
great.
that. Well, again, I know you mentioning just, gelling, so to speak, with your teammates and the travel and all the memories you make on the road, and off the ice too. Those memories mean more sometimes than those game moments that you recall, which those are fun and important as well, obviously. But it's always cool when the memories extend off the court, off the ice, off the field, whatever, because those are the ones that almost truly make a difference in who you are as a person as you grow up. I know that all of those things you mentioned, and I know that there's more to talk about, lessons that you've learned just through the game of hockey that you're going to carry with you through your life, like working together as a team and just building an encouraging atmosphere.
Yeah. So I guess in terms of things I'll carry with me for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
I feel like hockey and competitive sports in general have just made me a very effective communicator. Also, just kind of how I grew up as well.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, like teamwork skills, being able to collaborate and work with others as well is such a huge part of, I know I'm 18, but just being an adult,
Yeah.
especially in the workplace, simple social interactions like we're having right now,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. I feel like my career in competitive sports, whether it's hockey, lacrosse, football,
Uh-huh.
whatever, has kind of just, I guess, sculpted me into the person that I am now. And I'm sure if you ask any other athlete the same question, they'll say the
Mm-hmm.
exact same thing. Like
Yeah.
without sports, I would be such a completely different person. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. Like I have no idea how I would have ended
Yeah.
up or anything like that. But I feel like just sports in general just teaches you so much about like communication, teamwork, hard work. like the
Yes.
stuff you do off the ice or off the field, that really makes a difference. So putting in that extra effort and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, there's a ton that goes into it, and you're right. I probably could go on forever, but yeah, it's. I'll be completely honest. Stepping away from the sport had nothing to do with the team or anything like that. I loved playing hockey, and it was something I looked forward to every night,
Mm-hmm.
Monday through Thursday when we had practice, and then the weekends whether we were traveling or had home games.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly just had to step away because I'm starting real estate certificate. I'm in 18 hours of school, and
Wow.
I'm trying to study for an LSAT for pre-law. So it was a lot, especially.
That is a lot.
I know we spoke about the rink being in Edmond as well, like an hour round trip commute
Mm-hmm.
Monday, Thursday,
Yeah.
practices at 9, 10 p.m. every night.
Oh
So
my gosh.
getting home at or a little past midnight, especially during my freshman year too, it was just so hard to get out of bed in the morning.
I can imagine.
Oh my gosh, you can ask anyone that knows me. I'm a person that, like, I'm a kid that needs sleep.
Yeah.
If I don't sleep, I do not operate. It is easy as that.
That's me. So I totally understand that.
So, like, as I get into my upper division courses and everything next year, and just really trying to finish out this year with a super strong GPA,
Yeah.
it was kind of just a decision I had to make. It obviously wasn't an easy one. It
Yeah.
took me a long time to figure out what I really wanted to do. Had a
Yeah.
bunch of calls with my parents, my sister, a couple of my buddies from back home, just to really make sure it was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And the whole process was a lot less stressful than I thought it would be. So once I like texted the team and said, "Hey, like I'm going to need to step away, not an easy decision, all that stuff," I spoke to my coach as well, and he was like, "Listen, I totally get it." Coach Arvanitis is so big on school first. Like, you were a student before you're an athlete.
Yes.
That's why it's called a student athlete.
Exactly.
Athlete student is what he always used to tell us.
Yes. So true.
So he was super supportive, offered to help whenever, and then told me I can come back to the rink and skate whenever I want.
That's
just
awesome.
Be there with the team if I ever need to let loose or take my mind off things. He's
I
like,
love it.
"You always have the open invite. You're welcome to skate. You're welcome to do whatever. Just hang out." So I'd go for a couple games. I'd skate. I think I only skated like 2 or 3 times after, because I love skating, but I was enjoying the break way too much.
Oh, for sure. I can imagine. I totally understand.
I was enjoying the sleep and all that good stuff. So.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it wasn't an easy decision, but it was definitely for the better, mentally and then just academically, for sure.
For sure. Well, I always remind people that, myself as a fan, like I said, I love to go and support the student athletes, but we have to remind ourselves that you guys are kids. You are in school. Like you said, like you're student athletes, and the time that you spend, all athletes, that you guys spend training and traveling to the facilities and for games and all of that is just insane. And so it's hard for someone like me who's never done that to wrap my brain around it. I always tell people it's easy to get frustrated with athletes on the football field or the softball diamond, whatever. But like, hello, they're in school. They are going to school. They are entertaining us, and they are good at their sport. And I'm thankful that they're entertaining us. But that's not what they're here for. But it's just crazy to think what you guys go through and the time and effort that you put in to do what you do. And like you said, you stepping away is a very brave choice for you, because like you said, it was hard, and I can imagine how hard that was for you. So kudos to you for making a hard decision, but you did what you feel like is best for yourself going forward, and you can't go wrong there.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. I hate to hear that you're not playing anymore, because you were connection to watch on the ice, but there's plenty others that I can connect with. But again, I'm proud that you did that. But I grew up being an OU fan, so anything with that OU emblem on it, I'm watching it, I'm supporting it, and I'm loving it.
Well, I will speak as an athlete as well. We appreciate that. Well, and I've seen all the interviews that you do. And it's great that you're, one, open to conversation and just wow, which is fantastic. And then just like, I feel like your interest is very valuable. And
well, thank you. Well, I do appreciate that. And like I said, I like to remind people to get out and support you guys. And I know hockey was free to go watch. Tennis is free. I'm going to go to those things whether I'm connected to someone or not, but it's always nice to have that connection. But those tennis players, for sure, both of the tennis players I've had on my podcast, Bruno is from Mozambique, Africa, and Julia is from Mexico. So those guys, yeah, it's crazy. They don't have people to come watch them.
Yeah.
And so it's important as fans to get out and support them, especially when it's free. Soccer is free, men's gymnastics free, hockey, all these things that are free opportunities for us. And even all the rest of the tickets are affordable. But that's really why I like to do what I do, is have people connect with athletes like yourself and want to hear their stories and go, hey, I'm going to go watch that hockey player or that tennis player I saw on that podcast, and support them, because I've had friends that go and say, hey, you were on my friend's podcast. Can I take a picture with you? And they're just so excited, not just because of me, but because somebody came to see them. Right. Somebody came to support what they're doing and investing their lives in. And I'm just glad to be a part of it. So as crazy as I may be as a fan, I love being able to do what I do. And I'm thankful for the opportunity. And I'm thankful for you and all of the kids that I've had on my podcast, because you're giving me part of your time to share your story and talk. And I love hearing everybody's stories and learning about them. And it's just really, really special. So again, I'm thankful for the opportunity to do it.
We are thankful for you as well.
Well, I do appreciate that. I do. Well, I do not want to keep you too long because I know you're busy. But is there anything else you want to talk about? Any specific game memories or anything else you want to share before I let you go?
Yeah, I mean, just a final game memory and just touching on the idea of hard work and everything happened for a reason and just being rewarded, I guess. I'll talk about the Bedlam game.
Yeah.
Last year, my freshman year. Working hard the entire season, trying to get playing time was huge because we had a lot of upperclassmen, a lot of skilled guys. So I was usually on the back end of that lineup, which I honestly wasn't too upset about, because I'm a huge believer in that you have to earn your spot and nothing in life is given. So just looking back at that season as a whole and just remembering how hard I was working up until that point, and like grinding during practice, always trying to be the first one across the line when we're doing conditioning and making sure I'm focusing on little details and all that stuff. It all kind of built up to that one moment in the last game of the season in Tulsa in front of like thousands of fans.
I watched it on TV.
It was more packed this year, I will say that. But that place was nothing like Arctic Edge, I will say.
Right.
It was fantastic. So just that memory, scoring my first goal, I was like, wow, like finally. It was like a triumph. Like
yes,
I
bet so.
After all this time, after all this work, it was a huge weight off my shoulders and kind of like a breath of fresh air. And it's like it's a feeling that I can still feel to this day.
I imagine.
Just because it was something I worked so hard for. And then the second one kind of just came out of the blue. I just grabbed the puck out of the air, put it down, ripped the shot on net, and it ended up going in. So
I love it.
It wasn't anything crazy. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
The lamp lit up, the horn went off, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, this game could not get any better. We ended up handling OSU pretty well that game. I think the final score was like 11-2.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. It was the other way around this year at the end of the season, unfortunately.
I was not there for that one. Not that I would have made it much of a difference.
They're a good team for sure.
I mean, yeah, they are extremely strong this year. It was nice to see them lose in the national championship, though, I will say.
I agree. My husband was following it, obviously, since he's a Pope. But when I saw that they had made it to the national championship, I thought, well, honestly, I'm not surprised, because he had been following them all season, and I'd seen him a couple of times play. But anytime OSU loses, I enjoy it. I mean, my husband knows. I try to keep it to myself, but I enjoy it.
My sister would say the same thing, and she's not even here anymore.
Well, we just hate orange. I can't help it. I can't handle anything orange. I love my husband. He's a good man, but I don't do orange. Well, I had no idea how heavy a hockey puck was until we were in Arizona and one came over the glass and landed next to us. And so my husband got up and got it because nobody else was. And he brought it over to me and I was like, holy crap, that thing is thick and
Yeah.
heavy. Like if somebody got hit with that, no
Oh,
wonder
it
you
hurts.
guys have
Oh, it
all of
hurts.
yes, I cannot
It hurts.
imagine. But
It
I
will-
kept it. I brought it home with me because it was my
you know?
souvenir.
Yeah, a little souvenir. I like
Yeah.
it.
I had no idea how heavy and thick that puck was. But yeah, like we talked about before, it's kind of hard to follow,
Yes.
especially on TV. But seeing it in person is easier to follow the puck. But it
Sure.
looks so small on the ice.
Right.
And then you see it coming at you and you're like, crap, it's not so
Even
small.
behind all that glass, you're like ducking and weaving, trying.
Yes. Oh my gosh. But it's so much fun. I really have grown to enjoy watching hockey, and I wish I could have made it to more. We went to the 2 in Arizona and 2 at Arctic Edge, I believe. And I wish I could have done more, but it's just unfortunately a little too far for me sometimes. I am looking forward to still following the team, and I love to highlight the different programs and support you guys and get people out to watch. Okay. Well, any other closing thoughts for you before I let you go?
I am all good. I appreciate you having me on the pod.
Of course. I truly do appreciate you giving me part of your time.